On Saturday, April 26, at Fordham University in Manhattan, took place an important event titled Genocide Prevention, Upholding United Nations Human Rights Declaration and SDGs. Commemorating the 110th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, the event was designed to delve into mechanisms of preventing genocide and exploring practical strategies for education, empowering, and raising awareness to its negative impact. The event was organized by ATOP MeaningfulWorld under the leadership of Dr. Ani Kalajian. Trishla Saran, Education Coordinator of ATOP MeaningfulWorld, introduced Dr. Kalajian, who opened the program by asking the audience to take a moment of silence in remembrance of genocide victims around the world.
Remember all those who have perished, slaughtered in all the genocides, starting with the Ottoman Turkish genocide of the Armenians, the Holocaust, the Rwandan genocide, the Cambodian, the slavery, the indigenous people, everyone that has shed their blood for us to have the freedom now.
Dr. Harold Takushian, a psychology professor at Fordham University, who has for years championed Armenian causes and was once again instrumental in organizing this event, made the welcoming remarks and praised Dr. Ani for her work around the globe to help those who have been victims of genocide.
In this world, there's so much sadness, there's so much suffering, but there's also the overcoming of suffering, and that's part of being a human as well. And there are some people who make a difference, and Ani Kalajian is one of them.
Then Dr. Kalajian read the statement by California Senator Adam Schiff on the occasion of 110th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide.
The wounds of this tragedy are still open, and in tragic ways they begin anew. Turkey continues to engage in a long and dangerous campaign to deny the genocide and silence anyone who speaks the truth. Azerbaijan has also echoed the genocidal language and actions of century ago, and with the support of Turkey, attacked Artsakh in 2020 and blockaded it for nearly 10 months, starting December 2022. And in 2023, Aliyev regime took full advantage of people they had systematically starved and ethnically cleansed the whole Artsakh indigenous Armenians and threw 110,000 people out of their indigenous homeland.
In her wide-ranging and emotional slideshow presentation, Dr. Kalajian discussed her feelings of being a child of survivor, how genocide is transmitting generationally, the importance of oral histories, and ATOP's collaboration with centers at Columbia University and Oxford University. She also spoke forcefully about the current situation in Armenia and Artsakh and the importance of healing trauma associated with genocide.
Erdogan keeps saying that he's going to finish the job of the Ottomans. So he's helping Aliyev in Azerbaijan so that to kill Armenians. And just last year, right before the Gaza incident, 3 weeks before Gaza incident, 120,000 Armenians were forced out of their indigenous motherlands of 350 years. And now the revisionist Azerbaijani government started saying that the churches and our seminaries and museums, they are Albanian, that they're not Armenian. So this is the new revisionistic trauma that we are living with.
These follow the screening of trailer for upcoming film Faces of Prosecution, Genocide 2.0. Stephanie Fadgen-Jones, a professor at Teachers College, Columbia University, who has published numerous articles, book chapters, and lectures on the topic of Holocaust heroism for the International Association of Heroism Science, discussed how some people rescued Jews during the Holocaust, risking their lives and shining a new light of hope on so many. Heroism research attempts to understand the levels of courage and bravery within the rescuers.
A handful of heroic individuals and groups possessed the courage to care. While some people engaged in rescue for material gain, others rescued Jews for purely altruistic reasons. These valorous few voluntarily risked and, in some cases, sacrificed their life, liberty, and position to help Jews without expectation of reward. Even the highest estimates of 500,000 rescuers who helped to save an estimated 250,000 Jews represents less than 0.5% of the entire Nazi-occupied population. Who were these noble few? And why did they undertake such risk when staying silent would have been the far safer course of action? Is there a mystery of goodness that can never fully be understood? Do some people possess an altruistic personality? And can research help us understand these extraordinary, ordinary people who shined a light of hope for humanity during one of the darkest eras of human history? The National Institutes of Health sponsored a study designed by the late Columbia University professor and my mentor, Elizabeth Midlarski, to investigate the personalities, current helping behavior, and subjective well-being of Holocaust rescuers. Midlarski examined correlates of Holocaust rescue among a sample of 80 verified rescuers and 73 bystanders, and she also included a group of 43 demographically similar pre-war immigrants who immigrated to the United States and Canada prior to the onset of the war, so they did not have the opportunity to make the choice to engage or not to engage in rescue. This was one of several ways Midlarski built methodologically upon the Oehlener's study. Using Midlarski's data, a robust series of secondary analyses were conducted. In 1993, Amy Gans examined the combined effect of a set of family upbringing variables to distinguish rescuers from bystanders and found the two strongest predictors to be family cohesiveness, defined as the degree of commitment, care, and help members provide for one another, and victim-centered discipline, wherein parents encourage a child's concern for and reparation of the harm or hurt feelings of the victim. Moreover, these rescuers and bystanders significantly differed on the perception of parents' altruistic values, an inductive as opposed to power assertive or love withdrawal approach to parental discipline, parental affection, and the extent to which the father was recalled as being an altruistic role model. Gans' findings were markedly consistent with the Oehlener's, thus increasing the reliability, generalizability, and relevance of the role of socialization in Holocaust rescue.
My name is Dr. Stephanie Fagan-Jones, and I'm honored to be here today. The Dalai Lama distinguishes between two types of people in the world, those who wish to see others free from suffering and those who help others to be free from suffering. And Dr. Ani is one of those people who said it's not enough just to wish. You have to do more. You have to take action. And my research is on moral exemplars during the Holocaust, non-Jewish rescuers of Jews who risked their lives and in some cases sacrificed them on behalf of a persecuted other. And so I'm here to share what I've learned about who those people are and why they took such heroic action on behalf of the vulnerable other, in the hopes that we can try to cultivate that kind of heroism and translate moral exemplarity into the moral norm.
Consolina Mishi, an author and motivational speaker, and a survivor of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, when she was 14 years old, shared in deeply personal terms her story of physical and emotional torture during her 3 months of hiding, and miraculous survival with her mother and younger sister.
In 1994, of course, coming to 1994 when the genocide happened, so when I was 14 years old, of course, I mentioned earlier, I found myself and my family members going into hiding because of how, the Tutsis were going to be killed and exterminated. Unfortunately, during those 3 months, I found myself and my family going through unimaginable horrors, and my dad was killed in the second week of April 15th, where the killers followed him and murdered him. And now it's me, my mom, and my siblings, and we had to hide in many different places. And it was not easy because we had to go through horrors that I would never wish for anybody to go through. And people who were supposed to help us, some of them did horrible things to us. And rape was used as a weapon during the genocide. A lot of women were raped and tortured in the most horrible way. And then later on, my 3 brothers, you see here, were taken and slaughtered and threw the bodies in the septic tank of our home. And it was not easy, as you can imagine. My story is a long story, and as I mentioned, that rape was used as a weapon. Many women and girls, it was not easy to escape that. So unfortunately, that happened to me too, by a neighbor, somebody I knew very well. And it was hard for me. I wanted to die, but somehow when you survive, things keep happening. As you were hearing about rescuers, I'm here because there's somebody here in me and my mom and my sister. That's how we're able to survive. And in a Muslim community, we're Christians, but it was a Muslim community. The people were kind enough someone who was kind enough who didn't commit a genocide to help and to say, I'm going to help you because I don't want anything else to happen to you. That's how I was able to survive, me and my mom and my sister. And of course, the RPF liberating the country. That's how we're able, all of us, to be able to survive. And, in my story, I have a lot of things have happened, but I am grateful that I'm here where I come from. There are families that are completely wiped out. I'm one of the few who have a parent, so my mom, who survived with me. Going through the rape, and as you can imagine, there are consequences. A lot of women and girls have children from rape and have HIV because the intention is to make them die slowly, and that happened to me too. I found that I was HIV positive as a result of what happened to me. And each time I share my story, I just want to tell you that each survivor, as you have seen in the video, have a story. My story, whenever I speak, I think of those women who could not speak, those survivors who don't have a courage yet to share their testimony, because I'm one of the few who could share openly the painful experiences I've gone through. So that's why I share my story, and at the same time, I make sure that I'm part of helping to make sure what happened is not forgotten.
She showed a film of survivors of Tutsi genocide, the trauma they experienced, and how she healed through prayers, forgiveness, writing, speaking, and being an activist.
I feel like it's so important for me to be here because as a survivor who have gone through traumatic experiences, it's so important to make sure that we talk about what happened and also how to heal from our experiences, and make sure that we create a world where there's no hatred and just love and compassion and empathy. So.
Hovhannes Kosderian, who studied philosophy and theology at the Pontifical Gregorian and St. Thomas Aquinas University in Rome, Italy, discussed several topics, including Ottoman tribal law, ethnic group rights, and the Sharia Muslim law system as it was applied to the Armenian population.
One, for example, injustice, source of injustice was in the Armenian community, there were the Armenian Catholics that had allegiance to the Pope. So what happened? When there were intransigent patriarchs, millet magistrates, they didn't issue death certificates to these people. So what happened? After several years, the tax people would come and demand the tax, and they would say, well, the person died. And they said, okay, where is the certificate? We don't have a certificate. If you don't have a certificate, you have to pay the tax even for those who... So this was a source, a mechanism of injustice. So what happened? The Armenian Catholic community started asking help from Western powers, France, German, Austrian, Hungarian Empire, and guess who came to their rescue? The British. They didn't care about religion. All what they cared, it was a good lever to impose their own control over the Ottoman Empire. So this started creating the mechanism and suspicion of the Ottoman Empire that all these interventions were, the purpose of that was to destroy the state, the empire. Now, put together to this that the shrinking of their physical space, the countries, they, at 1680s, they were at their maximum expansion. And constantly after 1618 until 1914, the Ottoman Empire was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So they came up with a concept of taking all the Armenian population from their ancestral lands and bring them and settle them into the Arab people. It is important to create the environment to get over this trauma. It is very important for us. We do this work at school from young age. We do this work when in religious functions. We do this work, for example, even today with the artistic portion of the event, through dance and social gatherings. It is important for us to get over this trauma. And that's when we will bloom fully.
The event concluded with lively dance performance by Hamazgain of New Jersey Nairi Dance Ensemble under the leadership of creative director Parkev Sanusian, providing the attendees with much-needed emotional relief with its youthful energy and optimistic message.
Hey,
commemorating the 110th anniversary of the Ottoman Turkish genocide. And for me, our whole organization for 35 years, we're working for genocide prevention, educating for human rights, sustainable development goals of the United Nations, for us to stand up together for peace and justice. They go hand in hand. And for helping the generations to heal, because if they don't heal, they will do it again. If they don't heal, we don't heal as survivors, we're going to attract more traumas. And we are bringing one another down. As the banner says, don't be crab in the bucket. We're just like crabs pulling one another down so nobody gets out of the bucket, and we're all suffering by hurting one another. So our goal is to help the next generation not only heal, but transform the horizontal violence so we are lifting one another in love and justice and in harmony.